Hi, this is Denise with Herbal Alchemy Tea House and more, and I am trying to get everything set up to where I'm not in the sun while you guys are talking to me. But my life is never what I would imagine or think it to be. So I'll go ahead and get started with this. I am going to go ahead and cover some things in regards to herbs and immunity that some of you folks may already know or not. But at a time when we're dealing with all of the crazy things that are happening in the world right now with the pandemic and whatnot, it's necessary to kind of take the extra precautions to kind of see what you can do to build up your immunity and keep yourself from necessarily any kind of illness or sickness that can compromise your health. Looking at different ways that you can take that into your own hands. And herbs and diet, with the different foods that you eat, your food's your medicine. And so there are things that you can do to help boost your body's ability to fight off certain kinds of infections and viruses. And so I'm going to be talking a little bit about that today. And like I said, my name's Denise Donnelly Neal, and I am the owner of Herbal Alchemy Tea House and more. And I've been doing herbal related products for the last decade or so, and I hope that I can help give you guys at least a running start with where to look for different things that you can boost your immune system with. When it comes to immunity, basically, a strong immunity plays a vital role in keeping, diseases like viruses and bacteria from, and reducing your body's, response to that and, falling sick. And so people with compromised immunity, often will get sick, and their symptoms are more severe than others. And part of that is that, different people have, if you think about it in terms of, viruses and bacteria being like invaders that are attacking your body, that's something that, those people who have stronger fortifications built up against that are more easily able to fight things off. So that's partially one of the things that, I'm going to go ahead and talk about, because, you are in many ways, you are what you eat, and, having certain things in your diet like herbs and certain foods can help you to kind of build up those fortifications, as it were. So when, those pesky viruses and bacteria come a knocking, you've got, at least, something to buffer and to try to take them down. So basically when it comes to, your immune system, like I said, your food's your medicine, and unfortunately eating, a crappy food and a poor diet will definitely make you more susceptible to illnesses and, set you up for all kinds of problems down the road. One of the studies that I came across found that children who reported consuming a diet full of processed and high sugar foods with lots of meat and few vegetables were more likely to suffer from current respiratory infections compared to those people who've eaten healthier. On the other side of that, increasing your intake of good vegetables and herbs and spices and can help boost your immune system. And so, one of the things that's linked to that, when you've got a lot of fruits and vegetables in your system, you've got plenty of fiber, keeps good bacteria in your gut, and honestly, your GI system is one of those things that is part of your immune system, and it's like 70% of your immune system. And so keeping that area of the body in good shape is kind of essential, especially to keeping good health. And so having lots of fiber, lots of probiotics, good bacteria can help you, build that up. So, just, touching a little bit on that. The immune system is kind of this very complex system where, unlike many other systems of the body that have like, distinct boundaries of these are the only areas that this impacts, you don't have like an organ that says, oh, I just work with, fighting, bacteria and viruses. Just like your lungs take in air and, help with your getting oxygen to your body. Well, your immune system's a little bit more complex than that, in that, it's got a widespread, vector of things that it does to keep you safe. And so it's got basically a multi-layered shield that is really, constantly working to keep out invaders. And it's made of different parts of your body: your skin, your lymphatic system, your digestive system, your respiratory system, endocrine and skeletal system. And while no system of the body operates autonomously, the immune system has an especially symbiotic relationship with the body's other systems. And, the immune system knows no boundaries. Its cells go everywhere. So it's not something that's just contained to one part, because when you're under attack, there's a lot of different areas of the body that, those invaders will go after. So basically, keeping up the immune system and keeping it in balance is important to, longevity and having a good life. So as far as, your body's, like I said, like your castle is your fortifications, and your immune system are like the soldiers that are watching that system. And, they're patrolling the walls, as it were, making sure that nothing gets in, and taking down the things that do. And many herbs have been traditionally used to support the immune system, as well as, the food that we eat. So as far as breaking down like the different areas, like I mentioned before, you have the skin, lymphatic, digestive, endocrine, respiratory, and skeletal systems. Your skin is like the first line of defense there. It's literally the barrier to invaders. And, it's also part of your microbiome. There are lots of, other beneficial, bacteria and things that live on your skin that help with that as well. And so keeping that in good shape and making sure that you're washing and keeping good hygiene, making sure that, you're keeping that area of your body, in good shape will help with, fighting off, different infections as well. Your lymphatic system, with your lymphatic fluid, basically it is part of that system in that it helps to circulate and get rid of cells of everyday toxins, and the lymph nodes serve as filters for the body. So when that's not working right, that can cause some problems as well. So that's also, something that is used to kind of flush out, those toxins. And if something gets, stuck, and those systems aren't working right, that can cause a place where there's an imbalance, and it allows, certain, bacteria and viruses to thrive. So the other thing that impacts, just like I said before, with the digestive system, 70% of your immune system resides there. And so keeping, a healthy microbial balance in the GI tract, is a good, first start. And, like I said, having plenty of fiber to feed that good bacteria, and regularly flushing your GI tract of, harmful bacteria, will keep, that system working the way it needs to. So one of the other things that, the other system in the body that definitely impacts that would be the endocrine system. Our body's response to stress, and our inflammatory response as well, relies heavily, in terms of different hormones that we secrete. Cortisol, a rise in cortisol can impact immunity. And so, keeping that endocrine system and taking, adaptogenic herbs and things like that will help with, supporting that system so that way it's in good shape when it comes across, certain invaders. The other, system that is also playing has some impact is your respiratory system, because the air that you breathe in, can be full of different microbes and whatnot. And so that system is constantly lubricating and circulating itself, so that way, if anything does come in, it's trying to flush that out. And, often, anything that gets stuck in there is the reason why when, you get sick and you have all that postnasal drip, your body's trying to flush out. You're trying to sneeze and you're trying to, blow your nose and, cough. And all of those systems, basically when you're working with your respiratory system, it's trying to get out whatever it is that is irritating it. And so while those symptoms may be miserable to deal with, they are part of your body's natural response to, that kind of invader attack, as it were, because it wants to flush all that out. It's part of how we get well and how we stay well. So sometimes, you may not realize it that, your body will kick in with that kind of response, and, it may be miserable, but, your system's basically going into overdrive trying to get rid of all the invaders, as it were. And so those are some of the systems that, your body has as part of its immune system, that it uses. Your skeletal system is also, important in that, your red blood cells are made in your bone marrow. And so, making sure that you have good, proper nutrients for that as well, can help with, your body's ability to fight and repair itself. So as far as different types of herbs, basically, herbs can help support one or all of these systems, and they can fall into different categories in terms of response to illness in the body. So the different types of herbs that can help the immune system fall into different categories. So you've got your herbal immune tonics, which are traditionally taken on a daily basis to strengthen your immune system and lessen your chances of succumbing to viruses and bacteria. And these herbs are really slow acting. They're it's basically you're trying to build that up, and over time they'll have a prolonged effect. So it's one of those things where you're laying a good foundation, and that's not going to happen just by taking it overnight. So they have to be taken regularly to be beneficial. Therapeutically, immune tonics are also used to address poor immune resilience. So if you know anybody that has a poor immune system, this might be the way that they can help to build that up. So you want to boost your immune system specifically for the cold and flu season, where the winter months we stay in more, our chances of getting infectious diseases are higher. So all of those things are part of just what we have to go through. And so the other kinds of herbs that you can look into once you start having an infection would be immunostimulating herbs, like echinacea, things that will help to immediately get your immune system in line and saying, alert, work harder, you've got things coming. The other things that you can take would be immunomodulators, and most of those immune tonics fall into that category where you're balancing the body and the immune system. And then you have, and I apologize if I don't pronounce this correctly. I'm pretty book studied. So is spilanthes, I believe is the way that it's pronounced, but they're herbs that are taken right at the onset of an illness. So when something comes through, this is going to be like it's hitting. You're going to take it right then, and so it's one of those things where you can use those as well. So they're just different ways. So getting to the heart of all of that, looking at sort of which herbs are good. So I'm just going to go through and do kind of a quick overview of certain herbs and some types of foods that you might want to include in your diet for something, to help boost your immunity, for instance. Garlic is one of my favorites. While I don't use it in my teas, I make lots of soup, and garlic is one of my favorite spices to throw in, because it really is a superfood, and it can treat numerous health-related issues. So, it's basically, it has certain compounds that increase the number of white blood cells in the body, which can kill foreign bacteria and viruses. So you definitely want to have that on your side. So, a lot of the herbs and things that you see that are savory cooking herbs are things that we throw into our soups, and we wonder, oh, well, grandma's chicken noodle soup, this is the thing that helps you get better. Well, you're using those herbs to, our ancestors knew what they were doing when they put together, some of these foods and some of these recipes, because, it was linked to good health. And so, long before we understood and had all the science behind why it does what it does, people saw that if you did a certain thing, it had certain effects. So, sometimes it's a matter of people pay attention to what works. And so, just like a good bowl of chili with all that cayenne clears out your sinuses, people paid attention. They didn't know why, but they saw that there was an effect. So, over time, that's a body of knowledge that we've built up. And, as we get further into, understanding more of the processes in the body, we start to see the reasons why these things work. And so kind of helps, to give us a little bit more, an understanding, that we may not have had before. But, as far as garlic goes, one of the things that, you can increase the amount of garlic in your food to uplift your immune system. One of the things about garlic, though, and this isn't always the most pleasant, is that part of, to fully capitalize on garlic's antimicrobial and blood thinning qualities, it should be eaten raw. And so I, for one, have had raw garlic when I had, a tooth that was very unhappy, that I actually took a raw clove and put it up there, and I recommended it for a friend of mine, and before I had a chance to see the dentist, and her dentist said, oh wow, this is really, who told you how to do this, because it's actually pretty smart. Because she was having an abscess in her tooth that was starting to, kind of really cause her a lot of pain and problems. But by doing that, she decreased the inflammation on it. She helped with, the bacteria that were forming in there. And that by the time she was able to see the dentist, she had that down to a dull roar and was able to get, treated for her tooth. So, it's one of those things where, using those kinds of things out of the kitchen cabinet, and making that be something that your food's your medicine, there you go. But as far as, other things, like I said, garlic has antibacterial, antiviral, as well as antifungal properties. These bulbs of garlic are high in antioxidants, and that can help with free radicals that play a role in things like Alzheimer's, heart disease, cancer, all kinds of different, long-term illnesses that, we have in our modern day. And the antiviral properties can be used to reduce the severity of colds or flu or, any kind of viral infection. That's going to be something that, for all those folks that, are kind of concerned about COVID, boost your immune system, things like garlic, throw that in. It can't hurt you. And so if you can use the power of that to help you, at least stave off some things. In one study, people who took garlic supplements during like a cold season caught fewer colds than those who took placebo pills. So they have been doing studies on this. If you do catch a cold, garlic can shorten the duration of it. So, if you do try, garlic supplements, be mindful that you choose one that contains the active ingredients in real garlic. So there's a lot out there. You may want to go ahead and do some more research on that to make sure that you're getting what's really going to help. Some of the other things that they've studied is that there's a link between garlic use and reduced rate in types of cancers. So people who regularly consume lots of garlic, or raw or cooked, have a 30 to 35% fewer colorectal cancers than those who did not eat garlic. So, interesting fun fact, in one small study of people who had inoperable pancreatic, colorectal, or liver cancers, immune function was improved when participants took aged garlic extract for 6 months. So, like I said, lots of studies out there, lots of things that, and garlic is one of those things that has been used for over 5,000 years. I mean, our ancestors, raised that garlic, and, it's one of those things where, lots of people have used it in different times. In World War I, basically they were saving thousands of lives with like when they gangrene, infection fighting, for that, they were actually using garlic for that. But it's going to be something that, you can actually use, and, for most people, they keep that right in their kitchen cabinet, might as well bring that out and start really putting it to use. So, other things that you can use for fighting, infection, you've got turmeric and ginger. They're from like similar families. They're commonly, spices that you'll find in Asian cooking. So turmeric especially, there's been a lot of research that it's got a lot of immune boosting potential. The compound activates white blood cells in the body, and which in turn enhances its immune response. So, turmeric has also been linked to reducing inflammation in the body. So you can use it for, things in regards to that. And so that's one other thing that you can sort of add to your list of ingredients. So you've got garlic, you've got turmeric, ginger. Ginger is, a powerhouse. It's also got antimicrobial, antibiotic, anti-inflammatory properties to it. And, it can help with soothing of sore throat, dispelling nausea, intestinal gas, but it's got high antioxidants in it. And so it can enhance your immune response. And so, throw some ginger in your tea. I have a lot of my teas that, I have for stuffy head and for, colds and flu. A number of them have ginger in it. And it's something that, those antioxidant, properties of ginger, you might as well put them to good use. Because, it's one of those things that, it also has some anti-inflammatory properties to it, just like turmeric does. And, it helps with, reducing that oxidative stress in the body because of all of the antioxidants that are in it. And so it can guard against things like arthritis and cancer and neurodegenerative disorders and other conditions. So, that's something that you can definitely add, to your cooking, or, to a tea. I'm a real big fan of those ginger chews. I keep them in my purse. They're great for a sore throat on the fly, or, if you've got a nauseous stomach, or, it helps with, your body's digestive system. So all of these different systems, ginger also has one of those abilities that it helps with, all the mucus and everything that is in your system. It's got some wonderful properties to it. So you should definitely check that out as well. Another good spice to include would be cinnamon. Cinnamon is great. People have been using it for thousands of years for different medical properties. It fights off infection. It, helps heal damaged tissues. It's also high in immune boosting antioxidants. We're noticing a theme here. Antioxidants are good. And they do help with your body's immune system, because the less those antioxidants, what they do is all of the oxidative stress and toxins in your body that build up, having something that can be on your side to help fight and reduce that, puts you in a better state of health. And so therefore, when you do have invaders coming in, you're better able to deal with that. But it also has anti-diabetic effects, and can even, cut the risk of heart disease. So there's some very good things that you can say about cinnamon. It's one of those things where, adding cinnamon, ginger, and, turmeric, you see a lot of teas now, for anti-inflammatory, so your chai spices are fantastic. Totally encourage people to go for that. The other one that I will talk about will be elderberry. Elderberry is great. There's so much research that's been done. It's basically, also high in antioxidants, good for immune support due to its natural concentration of anthocyanins. And that's part of what gives it its dark purple color. And it's got other flavonoids in it. And, just a quick sort of aside, Native Americans were using the branches of elderberry to make flutes. So it's sometimes known as the tree music. But, there's a lot of different things that elderberry, among Celtic peoples, when you start getting into some Druidic facts, the other, crazy fact is that when they would try to take, from the tree or the bush, any kind of wood or branches or berries, they would actually ask the permission, and honor the plant before they took it. So, it was considered, a magical plant in a lot of ways. So just some interesting things, among cultures. But as far as, elderberry, it's an antifungal, antibacterial, antimicrobial. It's good at knocking out any kind of, crazy flu, just, out of your system. And, there's a lot of evidence that elderberry is effective at treating the flu as well. So as far as, there's a lot of people who will make like their own elderberry syrup, for instance. That's a good way to get it. With elderberries, though, you want to make sure that you cook them or heat them, because there's a chemical in there that is actually kind of mildly toxic for humans. So by heating it, you actually break that down, and then it becomes benign for you. So that's one thing you have to kind of, so you can't just eat raw elderberries. It's not good for you. But as far as, it's high in flavonoids. I can never get the pronunciation of that right. But basically it works on reducing swelling in the mucous membranes. And some studies suggest elderberry extract reduces the duration of flu. So it can definitely help for, any kind of viral infections. And so that's something that, does have a lot of different effects. I will say that it does have kind of a diuretic kind of quality to it, so be careful on that front. So you don't want to take it with laxatives. You're doing yourself double duty with that. And you want to make sure that you're not taking it with things like steroids or immunosuppressive drugs, or it can interfere with certain medications. So you definitely want to check that out before you start taking it if you're on a lot of different medications. But as far as other bits and pieces, I know that elderberry is immune stimulating. It's a diaphoric and an anti-catarrhal, I believe is how it's pronounced. It decreases mucus in the respiratory passages. So if you've got a lot of like what I would call a sticky cold, where you've got all this phlegm, elderberry is a great thing for it. So that's just a little bit as far as that. Now the other part to the elder plant would be the elder flower, and it has kind of its own properties as well. And so that's something that is often used as well in a lot of herbal flu remedies, because it has some antiviral qualities to it as well. So you can also use that. It's interesting piece here. When I work with those different ingredients and teas, elderflower kind of lends a sort of pineapple flavor to something. It's very mild, whereas elderberry has more of kind of a raisin sort of quality to it. So if you have a preference for one or the other, that might be something to think about as well. So as far as other things, the next herb on my list would be astragalus, which is fantastic. It's commonly associated with Chinese medicine. So it's an adaptogenic herb. So when we go back to like certain systems of the body, we've been addressing things like the respiratory system with all that phlegm and whatnot, with things like elderberry and ginger, going back to the endocrine system with, looking at, adaptogenic herbs that help with stress. The Chinese medical practice, for centuries would prescribe things like astragalus for like general weakness, chronic illness, to boost vitality in the body. And it's generally like used as a tonic, especially for elderly people, and for people who have like damaged immune systems. It's something that can help restore that in the body. It's also something that is a liver protector. It's also antiviral. And so one of the things about it is that research shows it has favorable effects on the immune system, increasing white blood cell counts, the cells of the immune system that are involved with fighting infection and foreign invaders. So it's actually really good for boosting the parts of your body, like your blood cells that go after, and they're the soldiers on the front line, kind of fighting off the invaders, as it were. So if you can give them some extra ammunition, that can help. So as far as you can actually throw it into food, because that's some of the traditional ways of having it. Personally, I tend to, I don't mind it dried. Taking it as a supplement isn't a bad idea. So, but as far as one of the things that Chinese medicine does say about it is that while on the overall it's good, you probably want to avoid it if you have taking it during an acute infection. So it's that it can maybe impact that response. but that's, like I said, that's the Chinese medicine side of things, that's kind of looking at it, because they look at it, that you need to kind of pull back on that unless there's a vitality or qi deficiency. So, I would say do your research if it's something that, you think you might want to find out a little bit more about, why they do that. So as far as other things, let's see. Basically with the immune system, it stimulates the killer cells, the NK cells. So that is the front line of white blood cells. It also increases interferon production. And what that is it's an antiviral, like, immune signaling agent produced by the body. So it helps, basically the immune system communicate better with itself. And it's also something that, it might be, it's one of those sort of tonic herbs, like I mentioned earlier, that you want to take it over the long haul, not in the short term, because it's cumulative in how it builds the system up. So as far as other things, let's see here. Okay, so for anybody who wants to know what it tastes like, apparently it's got a beanie flavor. I haven't, it's not something I use in a lot of my teas, but I should probably explore it a little bit more. I have taken the supplement, and I'd say that it's fairly good, especially if you're looking at something that is an adaptogen that helps with, like, stress responses, which is why I took it, and I found that it really helped. But basically, they've been using this herb for centuries, so it's got a lot of more historical sort of thoughts on it from the Chinese in particular. But like I said, when you're talking about building up your immune system, that stress response, that's another thing that is important. So the next herb on my list I want to talk about, and a lot of people have talked about it before, is echinacea. And that is one of those, it supports the immune system right at the beginning of the infection. And interesting point of fact, it's one of the best known and most extensively studied herbs. So it was used for centuries by Native Americans and brought back into popularity in the 1800s. Echinacea is also known as purple coneflower. And it supports acute and continual immune health. So basically, when you start feeling symptoms, that's when you want to bring in echinacea, because it's something that is more of an immediate sort of rev up your immune system kind of herb. Now, fun fact, echinacea actually grows wild and is native to, like, the Great Plains. So Kansas is you can find it out on the prairie. And so if you ever want to grow native plants in a garden, it is a good one to grow, because it takes very well to this climate, because this is its natural habitat. Now, as far as it stimulates the immune system to produce natural killer cells and other sickness fighters. And so a study, meta-analysis, concluded that echinacea may benefit folks with low immune function the most, even reducing the risk for a cold up to 35%. So that's like down to a third. That's a pretty significant number. And as far as, like I said, you want to take it at the immediate onset where you start to feel symptoms, like you're starting to get the runny nose, or, that just itchy back of the throat, or, starting to feel like you're wearing down, and you kind of feel something's coming on. It's the best time to take it, because you can actually give your body a jump on what's going on, because, if you're not getting its full benefit if you're taking it once the full blown, like, infection sets in. So you definitely, start early with it. So as far as interesting little facts here, one of the things that it does say is that if you have an autoimmune disorder, skip echinacea, and I will tell you why on that. Because echinacea revs up your immune system. It's kind of like I compare it to this. It's running is good for you. Running for 24 hours straight is not. So essentially, when you are supplementing with echinacea, you only want to take it when you need to rev up that immune system, but you don't want to keep your body in that revved up state, 24/7, 365 days a year. Use it when you need it, not necessarily. It's not a tonic herb, so it's not something that's cumulative that builds up in the body over time. Echinacea is not one of those. And so it's part of the reason why if you have an autoimmune disease, you want to stay clear of it. Because it is something that will just put your immune system on overdrive. And that can have its own impact. Now, this is kind of an interesting sort of fun fact. The traditional use of this herb largely focused on treating infection and venomous bites and stings, as far as Native American folks. So, for example, snake bites, wound healing, ulceration, abscesses, mastitis, swollen glands. Those are the things that they originally, were using echinacea for. So, it's one of those things that, you want to be, it's just interesting to see, different cultural stuff with, certain herbs and what they've used it for traditionally. But as far as other properties with echinacea, it is an immune stimulant. The main actives in the plant are alkylamides. I'm terrible with pronunciation, so forgive me. Which basically gives a characteristic tinkle on the tongue while making your mouth water. It's a greater indicator of potency of echinacea. So as far as all of that goes, take echinacea when it first comes on. Some of the other benefits that you'll get from it, because it's used to treat infections. Apparently it has been used in the past to treat bladder infections, support wound healing for conditions like eczema, for instance, as well as supporting connective tissue regeneration, and reduce inflammation, support lymphatic health, aid in the detoxification and accumulation of waste. Those are all things that echinacea does. And like I said, when you're looking at the different systems in the body, some herbs can impact more than one of those systems. We talked about lymphatics, we talked about the respiratory system, we talked about the lymphatic system. All of those things can help. And because of our immune system being so interconnected, having an herb that can basically help with multiple systems is great. So echinacea is in several of my teas. My immune boost tea is one of them. So that's one of those things where I've definitely had some benefit with it. And like I said, you can always grow it at home. It's a fun, beautiful flower to have in your garden. Aside from its medicinal qualities. So it tends to come out as, they call it purple coneflower for a reason. It has purple petals, and in the center is this, brilliant, like, orangey brown center. So it kind of looks like a daisy, but it's purple with a fairly high center in it. So it makes a really beautiful ornamental plant as much as it is, good as an herb potent fighter there. So, it's one of those things that you can definitely look into. And like I said, be careful with it. Don't use it like a tonic herb. Use it when you need it. Avoid it if you have some immune system issues, because it can definitely impact that. So people who are taking, who have like autoimmune diseases, it'll ramp that up. So because that's what it's designed to do, is boost your immune system. If you already have problems with that, you might want to avoid it. So either way, I am going to speak on a couple of other herbs really quick. Olive leaf, I've taken that supplement. It's great. Basically it helps with immune function, antioxidant support. Olive leaf's active constituent called orleuropine also supports cardiovascular health. So, olive is good for you. Olive also has a lot of really good properties. Its oil is really good at reducing inflammation too. So adding that to your diet, olive is a good choice. If you're looking for healthy oils, that's a good thing. The olive leaf itself, is wonderful. I tend to find it in like supplements and capsules, and that's how I've taken it. So, I found that it is a pretty stellar herb when it comes to kind of boosting your immune system. The other one that I can also use in tandem with that, it's funny, all these different herbal ingredients, a lot of them come from the Mediterranean. You have a lot of Italian, Mediterranean influence with some of these things. So, you wonder why the Italians are so healthy. Think about all the really good herbs and, lots of, fruits and vegetables and good things that they have in their diet, and the olive oils and the good, those are all things that are contributing to their health. So, that's one of the Mediterranean diet they talk about. It's funny. But yeah, a lot of your herbs here that you can find in your kitchen, oregano is one that supports healthy digestive flora and is a natural antioxidant source. In addition, it's been used in kitchens all over Europe. I mean, it's been around for a very long time, and it's enjoyed that long of a history with supporting the immune system. So, it helps with supporting a healthy immune response, and it's a natural antioxidant source. Oregano contains phytochemicals that support the body's natural resistance. Oregano's volatile oils help support the healthy microbiome in the intestines and healthy immune system. And fun fact, in Greek, oregano means joy of the mountain. Just weird random fun facts. And as it's an herb that prefers higher elevations in the Mediterranean region, I have actually grown oregano, Greek oregano in particular. It took over. It's a Lamatia family plant. All of your Lamatia family plants are really good antivirals. So your oregano, your mint, your basil, thyme, all of these are related, and I'll speak to that. So you can use them, to help with, they have antiviral, antibacterial qualities, and I can definitely recommend, anything that is of the mint family. So you're talking about rosemary, mint, basil, oregano, thyme. Those are all things that can help and have, similar properties because they're really high in antioxidants. They have some, antimicrobial qualities to them. So, add them to your food, drink them as tea. Those are all things that will help with helping your immune system. Other things that I am going to mention, let me see here. So, let's see here. Okay, so I will bring this in. Black and green tea are also things that you can use. Apparently, the National Academy of Sciences found that drinking 5 cups of black tea a day seems to supercharge your T cells, which are a type of white blood cell that plays a role in your immune response. After 2 weeks of drinking the tea, the cells produce 10 times more interferon. And like I mentioned before, it's a chemical that actively fights viruses and stops them from replicating. We talk. I brought it up with another herb, and so that's that interferon. If you can raise that, it's going to be one of those things that'll help with boosting your immune system. And apparently, black tea is what they studied. But if you prefer green tea, that can help too. Along with quercetin, it's a flavonoid found in blueberries. Green tea also contains theanine, an amino acid that shows may work with other polyphenols to give your immune system a boost. So those people who enjoy your cup of tea every morning, do that. It's actually, and I'm not just plugging this because I'm a tea lady, but you do have some very strong evidence that can you can help boost your immune system through some of that. So I've got some other honorable mentions as far as herbs go. Like I said, as far as angelica is another one. It's used in Chinese medicine to help with modify the immune system, treat respiratory ailments, cold symptoms. Lomantium, it's used by Native Americans in the Northwest during flu outbreaks. At the turn of the century, doctors noticed that the tribes that used it didn't get sick. Myrrh and frankincense, both of them are antibacterial, antifungal. Shishanda berry supports liver, lymph system, and overall well-being and stress. That goes back to adaptogens, things that help with your stress response. Holy basil also helps stimulate the immune system and fight viruses. And ashwagandha stimulates the white blood cells and lymphocytes. Let's see. Andrographis is another one, immune system, cells in blood and temperature, flora. It helps basically your gut system work a little bit better. Astragalus I already talked about, but those are some of my honorable mentions. Other adaptogens that you might look into would be ginseng. Licorice would be another one. It helps also with boosting your immune system. So basically in Chinese medicine, it helps with modifying enzyme function. And it's anti-immunogenic, carcinogenic. It reduces inflammation in the lungs, inhibits viruses, reduces cortisol. It's a great, I would say that licorice is one of my favorite things to add to a tea. And during the cold and flu season, it makes the tea taste sweet. I don't need to use sugar, which is actually something that can impact your immune system in a negative way. So reducing your intake of simple sugars, can help your immune system. But licorice is a good way to, add some sweetness to your tea, as well as giving it a little bit more of an immune boosting punch. So as far as, other things, going back to just, taking a look at your health and, what you may want to do to kind of prepare yourself for the season. Just look at other lifestyle choices that you might be making that can impact you. Getting more sleep, exercise, reducing, and moderating alcohol content or intake. Making sure you're washing your hands and taking care of, getting any contact with any kind of viruses and bacteria, and reduce the amount of stress that you have in your life, because stress is definitely something that impacts the immune system and your ability to, fight off infection. So, it's a matter of, other things like not smoking, it just makes your body have more toxins they have to process out. Eating more vegetables, it's one of those things where, that's something that, I talked about earlier, just helps with your gut and, giving your body lots of antioxidants and nutrients that it needs to build itself up. People who are malnourished are more susceptible to infection. That's just a fact. Deficiencies in vitamins and nutrients, zinc, selenium, iron, copper, folic acid, B6 and E. All of those things impact your immune system. Vitamin D and magnesium. Vitamin D, getting sunlight is a good thing for the cold and flu season. If you can, get, even just an infrared light, something that you can, nourish your body to, produce that vitamin D, or take a supplement. Interesting fact on that is that, the lowered vitamin D deficiencies, basically will impact your increased risk for infection. So not getting sun and not having enough vitamin D in your diet can actually put yourself at risk. So that's some of the things, magnesium, it forms a key role in your immune system, helps with antibodies and T-cell response. So making sure your body is well, stocked in all the things it needs and giving it the things it needs to repair itself and the things that it needs to fight off, these infections and these bacteria and these viruses that we're encountering. You can definitely take a bite out of that just by helping yourself, including these things in your diet, taking some time to do, some research, and feeding your body the things it needs. So if anybody has any questions or, anything that you want to know, you're welcome to go ahead and PM me or leave comments in the comment section. I'd be happy to, field any questions. I'll be honest, I don't know everything about everything, but, I will do my best to answer those questions, and what I don't know, I will do the research to try to find out for you. So, asking the question is the first step in, trying to gain that knowledge. And, I know that, my study of herbalism and the things that I'm learning as far as health, it's been a lifelong journey. So, I'd say the same for anybody, that decides they want to take this on. Don't be afraid to go and do some digging. The information's out there if you look for it. So thank you so much for sitting in on my lecture today. And like I said, if you have any questions, just let me know. So you folks have a great day, and thanks for tuning in. Bye-bye.